I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We're able to hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Dear Honorable Chairman, Punjab Higher Education Commission, and my dear friend and respected friend, Excellency Ambassador Masood Khan, Vice Chancellors, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I was actually going to talk about certain things which I'm glad that Ambassador Masood Khan actually started introducing those aspects that I wanted to touch upon. The challenge that we have today is that, as you know, as a diplomat, when you are given a podium to talk about, it's very hard to keep your remarks brief. And when I was told that we have about 10 to 15 minutes, I thought I'm going to provide just a summary of the ideas, and then perhaps we can have a further conversation and discussion in our question and answer session if there is time. So to start, this particular session is about transnational education. I think the first thing we need to do is to have a clear understanding of what that means. When I have had conversations with some of my colleagues and friends, several have indicated that this essentially means sending students abroad, or perhaps recruiting students back into your universities for exchange or education. But the fact is, this is a much more strategic and deeper idea of transnational education, which is being now talked about for the last 10 to 15 years in the United States, United Kingdom, and most other countries of the world. And what I would like to do is sort of lay out what does this really mean and how can we introduce these ideas in Pakistan as well. When I became the Vice President for International Programs at Washington State University, I thought the first thing I should do is talk to some multinational corporations to understand what is their desire of the kinds of people that should be coming out of educational institutions today. I had the good fortune of being in the state of Washington, where, as you all know, we have Boeing and Microsoft and many other big multinationals. I went and met with the leadership of Boeing and leadership of Microsoft. And I posed this question to them, that I'm going to be the new Vice President for International Programs. Can you share with me, what would you like to see in the graduates who come out of Washington State University? And I met with them separately. And I can tell you that unanimously, participants of those conversations and discussions said just one thing. They said, if institutions of higher education learning, if they can produce and graduate young men and women who are able to successfully navigate the world, that would be the biggest thing you can do. And as His Excellency Ambassador Masood Khan mentioned, their point was exactly what the ambassador said, that the world has shrunk, global challenges are common to us all, and unless we produce graduates who understand those global challenges and issues that the rest of the world is facing, we are simply going to be producing people who have a degree and who have gone to classes, but are we really going to be contributing anything to our nation or to anyone else in the world? So with that in mind, we developed a program which was a three-tier pyramid kind of a program. I'll briefly lay it out for my colleagues here so you can understand the thought process that we used in order to respond to the challenge that was posed to us by Boeing and by Microsoft. First, if you think of a pyramid, and at the very bottom layer of that, at the most fundamental and foundational level, are the students. Students are the backbone of any educational institution. But if our students, for example, looking at our own university at Washington State, we thought, if our students are not exposed to the world, are they really going to be true global citizens and be able to navigate the world? So we started thinking, what are the steps we need to do? Number one, as one of the speakers earlier mentioned, is increasing and growing diversity on our campuses with students from all over the world. That has become absolutely the key, and in fact, if you look at most famous universities around the world, whether they are in Europe or in the United States, there's one thing that is common amongst all of them, and that is the percentage of international students on their campuses is quite large. At our university, when I started here, we had about 2,000 international students, which would form about 6 to 7% of the student population. And our goal was that we need to increase it to 15 to 20% at least in order to have that possibility of our students to get a touch point. And what we were looking for was that as we have international students in our classes, that would provide opportunity for our students to mingle with them, to interact with them, and learn with them, and form lifelong relationships and partnerships, because, as we said before, the world has shrunk, and that means those relationships are absolutely critical. These students would live together in the dorms, and they would play together in the fields. Increasing the number of students, and I would say to my colleagues in Pakistan, not that I presume to know any better than them, because this is an excellent group of vice chancellors. The rest of the vice chancellors, I think the future of Pakistan is in great hands. And I'm talking about specifically Dr. Moeed Yusuf, he's an old friend. What a great person and a great leader. And Vice Chancellor of Minhaj University, Dr. Shahzad, who I've known for most of my life. If those are the kinds of leaders we have in higher education, I think the things that we're talking about, we can achieve them. So let's try to implement those things. As the Master said, that we need to provide opportunities, and we need to figure out a way, by scholarships or some other means, to attract at least a certain percentage of our student population to be abroad. And if that is not possible, let me share with you one idea that we have implemented here, even at Washington State University, and that is every summer, we go to one country in Asia somewhere, from Japan to South Korea or someplace, and invite 50 to 100 high school students for simply a visit. Come to us for 3 to 4 weeks. We provide them housing, food, they pay their own way. That provides our students the opportunity to interact with people from outside the world. That opens their eyes and opens their horizons. There are different ways to do that. The second level of that pyramid is the faculty. Now, I know that many of you have been through that process of being a faculty member and then becoming a university leader. But I must say that what I found in a few universities that I dealt with, faculty are usually resistant to these kinds of ideas, because the fact is everyone is focused on what they're going to teach, and everyone has a focus on what their research should be, and sometimes they do not want to be bothered. So it is absolutely important that the faculty's mindset must change in order to accept these kinds of new ideas. At our university at WSU,
जी सर, आपका माइक म्यूट हो गया.
Kindly unmute yourself, sir.
I'm sorry. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yep,
Okay. Now.
okay. So anyway, what I was saying was that we have started talking to them that the Office of International Programs is going to do whatever it can to bring people together of similar minds and ideas to create those partnerships. And we have successfully, over the last 2 to 3 years, actually established a partnership with 8 universities in Africa, which is being now funded by the African Development Bank to the tune of about $14 million. If Pakistani researchers can do the same kind of thing and think outside the box and collaborate and find people with whom they can work together on common interests and especially global challenges, the same thing can happen over there as well. So the faculty level development and collaboration is the key. And third, at the very top, that is the institutional mindset change that we must have strategic presence abroad in certain countries of the world. And the way we decide that is each nation should be thinking about what are the areas of the world that are critical to us in whichever country we are in, or what are the countries where we have researchers and educators who are working on similar challenges that are common to us. And if they can come together and establish long-term relationships and partnerships with some common presence where faculty from one goes to the other and stays there for a certain number of years, or in some cases, even establishing campuses and permanent presence in other countries, which would then open the door for not only students coming back, but possibilities of exchanges. These are the kinds of things that must happen in order for this transnational education to develop and succeed. Let me just mention quickly, how can we make this happen? Talking is easy. It's easy to do it perhaps in the United States. Let me tell you, there are actually international bodies, some commercial and some who are NGOs, nonprofit organizations, who have started to provide this kind of service. And even Washington State University, after starting all these projects, we went to an entity in the United States that's called American Council on Education. They were offering a 2-year lab to a cohort of universities, about 20 universities, and they do this every year. Most of those universities are American US universities, and some are from abroad. They come together, and over a 2-year period, they work with them to develop various aspects of the university from the leadership, structural changes, curriculum, co-curriculum, mindset change, as I said before, is what they tried to achieve. And what they asked us to do, and we successfully did, was to establish an executive committee at the top that was managing the overall project, but then we created subcommittees that those subcommittees were actually led by various faculty members. So we engaged faculty and college level leadership in leadership positions in those committees so that everyone would have a stake in it and they would feel that it was part of their idea. And after 2 years of doing this, we have now finally come out with a report, and I'll be happy to share with anyone who would like to see it and even introduce you to people who can do this kind of thing for Pakistan. We have a plan now where faculty feels that they are involved, they are engaged, and they are thinking about how can we integrate these ideas that I was talking about in the first part of my presentation in their classrooms, in their research projects, and in their effort as they go out and look for partners abroad. The final word I would say is for an educational institution, and this has been part of my learning as I transitioned from being a diplomat to a person in higher ed, that higher education institution, if they are not working for a particular purpose, then that effort, in my view, is only half fulfilled of your existence. And what I mean is, we all need to be working for things like some national security interests, for example, or regional interests, or global interests. An example I would give is we developed at our school about 5, 6 years ago what we called global challenges, and we thought these are the things that matter to the rest of the world. They start from food security, water scarcity, health, access to education and environment, and these are the four or five different pillars that we made central to the themes of research that we started funding from within the university funding and looking for funds from abroad. And all of a sudden, with those ideas alone, we've been able to gather enough partnerships from different parts of the world that are leading to exactly the kind of intermingling that I was talking about at the beginning, where people can come together. So I'm going to close with that this is a challenging thing. It does take time. But what we do need to do is change the mindset of our faculty and the leadership that they should provide resources and efforts. And if we can help bring diversity on our campuses and perhaps participate in the kinds of exercises that I was talking about through this internationalization lab, I think Pakistan has the resources and the ability and the researchers and educators that we can get to the same place as any other country in the world. Thank you very much.